Hey, everybody. On today's Locked On Bama, we're going to talk about Alabama's big June recruiting month coming up. Just so many big visitors. And I know it's only, May 19th as you're watching this, but man, I feel like we got to talk about some of these recruiting is about to start really heating up for the university. Also, we're going to talk about Tuscaloosa News ranking the schedule in terms of strength 1 through 12. I think we disagree with some of them, but you'll have to stick around and find out. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online. We'll talk about them too. So stick with us on Locked On Bama.
Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, how are you today?
Oh, great. You're a day closer. Man, it's coming up.
It is, and definitely we're going to talk about Alabama's big June. In fact, I think we can start right there. I was just looking at Bama Online does a great job of this. I know that's not the company you work for, but I'll give them a shout out. They've got a great running list of visitors for June. Now, this was put out on May 11th, but it's been updated a little bit. I'm just going to run down some of these names. Stop me when I get to somebody that just really intrigues you. June 1 is Peyton Kirkland, an offensive tackle out of Orlando. Dr. Phillips, some people may remember we've had some success from Dr. Phillips. I think Clinton Dix came from there. D. Hart came from there. I know he eventually transferred, but great place there. Every time I hear Dr. Phillips, too, I can't help but think Dr. Pepper for some reason.
I think the same thing. Same thing. Every time I hear that high school, that's what I think. Every time.
That's June 3rd through 5th, here's some big names. Riley Williams, a four-star tight end out of Oregon. Dylan, is it Lonergan?
Lonergan, quarterback.
Quarterback from Georgia. I would suspect he's a long shot for Bama. But Cole Adams out of Oklahoma, a wide receiver. And then Brandon Ennis, a five-star wide receiver from Fort Lauderdale, who a lot of people love, but I would say Alabama's probably not in the 1 or 2 slot right now. Would you agree?
Probably Ohio State for him. Early on, it was looking like Lincoln. He was committed to Oklahoma at one point. He likes Lincoln Riley. Apparently, he's not crazy about playing football on the complete other side of the continent. I assumed he would just sort of follow Lincoln to USC, but that's just too far away from him. He wants to play somewhat closer to home. So Ohio State appears to have a lead for Ennis, who he likes Alabama. I think will always be in his top 3, his top 4, but he doesn't seem to be quite as enamored with Alabama as we would like him to be.
Yeah. June 4th through 5th, it'll be Malik Bryant. Now, this is a guy from Orlando who
that could happen.
Does lead for. Yeah,
that could happen. I would even, if I was doing a class projection, I would probably include Malik Bryant. That's how serious that is.
All right, now let me run down these guys for June 10th through 12th. This is a huge weekend.
It's the weekend of the year, and after you go through the list, I'll explain why or why. But yeah, that's the weekend.
All right, I'm going to start. I'm going to go backwards here. They have them listed 5-star down. I'm going to go 4-star up. Raul Aguirre, a 4-star linebacker out of Fayetteville, Georgia. Olis Allanen, is that how you say that, Jimmy?
That's exactly that's how I've been saying it.
Okay. Olis Allanen, he's from the Loomis Chafee School. Now, I want an offensive tackle named Olis Allanen because it sounds like he fishes with his mouth in Finland. I love that. I mean, he just sounds like a giant Viking of a human being. Wilkin Formby out of Tuscaloosa, another guy with a great name, sounds just like an offensive tackle. Then a quad of 4 stars. Richard Young, 5-star running back out of Florida. I believe he ends up at Alabama, but I'll let you confirm. Francis Magoa, is that how we say that?
I've never said it out loud. This is I'm referring to him right now as the 5-star tackle from IMG.
Correct. Anthony Hill, a 5-star out of Denton, Texas, who a lot of people think wind up at Texas A&M. And then Caden Proctor, a 5-star offensive tackle from Des Moines, Iowa. man, we don't get a lot of dudes out of Iowa, but this is one I'd love to have. Jimmy, I'm just going to let you have the floor on these guys.
Well, Proctor, going backwards, Proctor, awesome 5-star, big time, similar to a Latham, similar to a Cam Robinson, similar maybe even to an Andre Smith. I mean, he's really good, but he happens to be from the one corner of the world that does really well with offensive linemen. I mean, I think if that kid played any of the other 17 positions on the team besides offensive line, we would be a slam dunk for him. And we still may get Caden Proctor. It's very possible. I would guess we will end up in second place. But if you're an offensive lineman born in Iowa and you want to play offensive line in the NFL, there's really not much of a reason to leave Iowa. I mean, they put out first-round linemen. They did again in this most recent draft with Tyler Linderbaum going to the Ravens. They put out first-round linemen at Iowa all the time, probably because the head coach was a highly successful NFL offensive line coach, and he's built his good program around the offensive line position. So I don't know that we're going to be able to shoehorn Proctor out of Iowa. If Proctor leaves Iowa, Alabama would be the spot. But that June 10th weekend, you know what Alabama likes to do, and I'm sure Alabama's not the only one that does this because it just makes all the sense in the world. But in terms of our biggest targets, in terms of like, these are the guys that we have a great chance with that we really want in the class, we love for them all to be together on campus visiting all at once, because we believe the best recruiters are the kids themselves and the friendships that they make and wanting to play with each other and building a bond and a brotherhood. And that's how we do it every year. I mean, we used to have a cookout and it was at Nick's house, and then they had to move it to the football building. And I don't know what they're doing now, but what used to be the Champions Cookout is obviously June 10th this year. And it's not like those are the only kids, but I would say the core of the recruiting class will be on campus that weekend. And that's how they want it to be. They want some momentum to build and for them to create a group.
That's very interesting. You know, it just reminded me, you talked about, I think it is more positive to have like a group think versus having just one massive player on campus at one time where, I mean, the weight of the world is on his shoulders. You know, he probably feels like, hey, this is too much. I mean, not every kid, obviously, but I think a lot of them would feel like, man, I need a little bit of the spotlight dispersed here, because it can be intimidating when you're the only prospect on the campus. Refresh my memory, Jimmy. Who was the boy? I want to say it was Alvin Kamara, but I don't think it was. Who the player on Alabama's team who was bad mouthing Alabama when some other prospects were visiting?
Yep.
Who was that? I
Come
think
on, Alvin Kamara.
it was
Alvin Kamara. Yeah,
it's so funny because we remember him with such reverence now.
Yeah, well,
because
that's
he's
the
a
reason.
good dude.
Well, there was a reason he left the program. There was a reason he left, and again, I don't know all the specifics, and I don't know how bad it was. I just know that story is a generally accepted fact from insiders around the program, and I think Alvin was very frustrated over, if you rehab hard and you get back in time for the season, you know, if you rehab hard, you can play. If you rehab hard, you can play this year. And he did, and he put in all the work, and he was cleared to play. And then he didn't, because Alabama at that point felt it was smarter to redshirt the kid. And, you know, kids don't like to redshirt. They want to play. And of course, Alvin thought he was the best running back on the roster, and as any kid with his talent would believe, right or wrong. But anyway, he got really frustrated with things. And the thing that's cool about it now, that we can talk about it now, is Alvin is on Alabama's sidelines.
Yeah,
he's a fan.
He's a cool
dude.
He's
a fan of Alabama, and Alvin has I think Alvin would tell people publicly or privately, boy, I had that coming, and they were right to do that, and Coach Saban was right, and I should have listened to him and should have trusted him. But hey, things worked out fine for Alvin, and things worked out fine for Alabama without him. So no hard feelings. That's just a kid that's in, hopefully Ajay Hall and guys like him, you know, down the road have the same turnaround that Alvin had.
we're late for a break, and I want to say this, but we had a couple of comments on the last podcast. A couple of folks took exception, or a couple of folks, were sort of hard on Ajay Hall in the comments. Some of them took exception to our even talking about him. And I was like, look, he's still topical because he did leave Alabama guns a-blazing, and then now he's going to play allegedly, maybe, for Texas against Alabama. And I think you and I made it abundantly clear we're pulling for Ajay Hall to get better because Alvin Kamara is the model, right?
Exactly.
And you know what Alvin Kamara is? Alvin Kamara is the really hot girlfriend. You just couldn't make it work. You have sort of a nasty breakup, and then after a year, y'all are just really good friends, and you're hoping for the best. And she gets married, and you're happy for her. So I think that's what. Boy, that was a long. That was almost I'm crushing on Alvin Kamara thing.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, Jimmy, I don't think Alvin's that hot.
He's rich though. That makes him hotter. All right. Let me tell everybody about BetOnline, Jimmy, because I need to. Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball, fights, even next year's NFL and college football futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs to whatever you want. Head to the website today at BetOnline, or you could even just go on your phone with BetOnline. BetOnline is where the game starts. I'm telling you, it's where the game starts. All right, Jimmy, very quickly, you said you had an oatmeal story. Please tell it very quickly.
It's not really so much of a story. It's just that in a hotel traveling today, and like a lot of hotels, this place has that continental breakfast or whatever you call, the free breakfast I'm fixing oatmeal, and I'm not a daily oatmeal eater. I'll eat it, but this particular spread, you make your oatmeal, it's plain. It's very plain oatmeal, but there's these containers, and there must be 25 of them, and the containers have different stuff that you can put in your oatmeal or your cereal or whatever else you're making. And I'm mature enough, I'm an adult enough to know oatmeal, that's pretty healthy. I should eat the oatmeal and not something that's like Fruit Loops, because I could have done that. But I'm like, no, I'm adult enough to eat the oatmeal, but I'm still 7 years old. So you can't put me near all of these containers with tasty things. I'm dumping chocolate chips in there. Here's some syrup. Here's some banana chips. Here's some apple chips. And by the end, I've got 1.5 pounds of food, the majority of which is going to kill me. And the whole idea was, I'm an adult. I'll eat some oatmeal. And then what do I end up with? What amounts to one of those chocolate chip cookie cakes you can get in the mall. And that's what I ate for breakfast. And I'm like, I'm 52, but I'm still 7. I'm like Elf. Yeah. I need an adult at all times.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm at the same kind of place at the Hilton Garden Inn, and they had oatmeal and the same thing. And it's really like I'm about you. I'm pushing 50. It's like I need my fiber for the oatmeal, but I also kind of want diabetes, so I'm going to have all this chocolate. Exactly. All right, let's go to what Tuscaloosa News has done here. They have done a ranking of the schedule for the year for Alabama, 1 through 12. I think this is a great exercise. I just think it's something cool to discuss. You rank these 1 through 12 because this year I saw this stat from Danny Sheridan, so take it with a grain of salt. I know it's grain of salt, but take it with a grain of salt. That he said Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia are double-digit favorites over every team they face this year. Those 3 schools, Jimmy, double-digit favorites over every team they face. So that's crazy. But what it tells you is, okay, it's going to be tough to rank this schedule when you're at least a 10-point favorite over everybody It's just very difficult to rank it. But instead of really there's no sense in ranking Austin P, Louisiana Monroe, even though we still owe them, or Vanderbilt. Let's start with 9 through 1. And here's what the Tuscaloosa News said. They have Utah State at number 9. And I'm with you. I saw a tweet you had that Utah State could very well start the season at the tail end of the top 25. Yeah. They've got a pretty good group. They had a very strong 2021 campaign. They won the Mountain West. And they have 8 starters from that group coming back. I'm telling you, I think that's going to be pretty tough. I might put them higher, but right now that's where Tuscaloosa News has. What do you think?
I completely agree. They're tougher than the other non-conference, the 2 non-conference opponents, tougher than Vanderbilt. This is a good team. Alabama should crush them, and Alabama should be favored by a lot, and Alabama should win the game by a lot. But this is not the hilarious tomato can against the directional school. It's not. This is a quality football team that you will see play in a somewhat prominent bowl game. Good team, good test. And it's better for Alabama to play somebody good than somebody that's a junior college that we just knock over and win by 70 points.
Okay, I guess looking at the rest of the schedule, I would have to put them number 9. But boy, I'm telling you, I'm very tempted to flip-flop.
That's a good number 9 team.
Yeah. I'm very tempted to flip-flop them with the number 8 team, which is, drum roll, Auburn. I am very tempted to say Utah State will be more difficult to beat than Auburn. What makes me not say that are a few things. Auburn is a rivalry game. Auburn is at the end of the year and just before the SEC championship game. So I assume Alabama will be in the SEC title game again. And Auburn fans think I'm nuts when I say this. But I think one reason that Auburn has been able to hang with Alabama, specifically in Jordan-Hare Stadium, even when Alabama's had a much superior team, is because Alabama generally is going to the SEC title game the next week. And Auburn, for the most part, these last several years, has not been a factor. Now, in 17, they were a factor because they ended up going. Now, they lost to Georgia, but that was a pretty good Auburn team, and it was an Alabama team that had yet to discover Tua Tagovailoa. Not making excuses, Auburn beat us by 12. But I think that typically Alabama is going to the SEC title game like last year. There was every reason in the world to look beyond Auburn, a team that was on a 3-game losing streak when we played them, I think. And they were looking pretty pedestrian. And we come in flat as a fritter, and we play like ass until the final 97 seconds. Give Auburn credit, but I'm just saying that it is understandable to think Alabama has looked past Auburn these last few years. So I am tempted to flip-flop them because, number one, Utah State plays us game 1 where they'll be pretty good, we'll be the prohibitive favorite, and we still probably be working out some kinks. They will be too. And then we have dominated Auburn at home since 2010.
Yeah, I'm tempted to flip-flop them too, particularly because we'll be playing a fresh Utah State team that'll be fired up to be competing against Alabama, and we might be playing an Auburn team that has an interim head coach looking for a new head coach, and they're a 3-8 mess. I mean, it could be, and if that's the case, you'd want to flip them. The way I'm looking at it, though, I would keep it where it is, just in this one sense. If Auburn played Utah State week 1, who do I think would win that game at Auburn? My answer is, gun to my head, I would pick Auburn to win the game. But at the same time, I'd be panicking. I wouldn't want to pick the game. And I would be telling Auburn fans, you better take that game serious. Utah State could easily beat Auburn in week 1. I would not even be surprised. But in the end, if I have to pick the winner, I would pick the team that has more good players than the other one, and that's the SEC team, Auburn. Mute. You're mute. Are you mute?
Yes, I'm muted. Damn it. I'm trying my best. But anyway, 11 years ago, Auburn played Utah State as an opener after their national championship year, and Utah State basically had the game won. I think Auburn had to get a onside kick to end up winning that game, if I remember right. But anyway,
this is a better Utah State
it's
team.
a better Utah State team.
This team upcoming will probably be the best Utah State team
and a
in the
worse
history of the
Auburn
program.
team. And a worse Auburn.
Exactly. So, but I would have Auburn ahead of Utah State,
Me
but
too.
I agree that it's sadly for Auburn fans a bit of a coin flip, really.
Okay, we got to zip through some of these now because I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody about Built Bar. Built.com is where you want to go. Imagine dipping your finger in that plastic tub of birthday cake frosting and then opening your eyes and realizing there's only 150 calories and 16 grams of protein. That would be awesome. That is what it's like to eat a birthday cake puff from Built. Trust me on this. They sent us samples, and they didn't just send us like 2. They sent us like 12 of these mothers, and I love them. These things are awesome. It's like a protein-infused marshmallow. It really is like eating candy. It's Jimmy and my dream breakfast. If we put it on oatmeal, it'd be fantastic. And if you haven't tried the puffs, I'll let you in on a little secret. That's because that's what friends do. A chocolate-covered marshmallow protein bar is what these are. Yeah, you heard me. Delicious, flavored marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. Go to Built.com. Get the birthday cake puffs now. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCK15. Get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 at Built.com to get 15% off that order. That's Built.com. Promo code LOCK15. Also, want everybody to go check out Locked On NBA Big Board. This is a fantastic podcast. The NBA lottery was just chosen. The Orlando Magic, for like the 400th year in a row, has won the lottery. And I'm sort of banking that they'll take Jabari Smith, and I think that's probably the right pick. I don't know. Chet Holmgren's sort of a unicorn, but he's so frail to me. I mean, he looks frail. I think he's tougher than he looks, but he's thin. And then, Pablo Banchero is also good too, but whatever. Y'all go check them out. They know more about that than I do. All right, Jimmy, let's talk about this schedule ranking a little bit more. Okay. Let me read the next 7. All right, so Auburn was number 8 for Tuscaloosa News. Then they had number 7, Mississippi State at home. Number 6, LSU away. Number 5, Texas away. I would definitely flip-flop those 2. Number 4, Ole Miss away. I would have them higher on the list.
I'd have them higher.
Number 3, Tennessee. Actually, I say I have them higher, and now I don't know where I put them. Number 3 is Tennessee away. Number 2 is Arkansas away, and number 1 is A&M at home. Here's my list, Jimmy. I'm gonna go Tennessee 1. I know we beat them 15 years in a row, whatever it is. I know they're pretty good. They're going to be frothing at the mouth. That place is going to be bananas. I'm going to put Arkansas 2. I'll agree with Tuscaloosa News. I'm going to put Ole Miss away number 3, and I'm going to put A&M number 4. And my reasoning is, I mean, outside of the Johnny Manziel year, we beat A&M at home, and I know they've got a fantastic lineup of used car sponsored players from NIL that they just got, or oil company sponsors. But when we play them at home, we win, and they're super, super young. So we don't know who their quarterback is. So I'm going, and I know we don't know who Ole Miss's quarterback is, but we do know who their head coach is. And their head coach can give us fits. So I'm telling you, I'd go the 3 away games: Tennessee, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and then A&M.
I couldn't agree more. I think Texas A&M is the best team Alabama will play during the regular season. I think Texas A&M has the most good players. They're the team that matches up with us the best in terms of dude versus dude. They can hang with Alabama. Real talented bunch. They'll have true freshmen playing key roles, but these are talented kids. Plus, they have enough veterans, and they're improved at quarterback over what they were a year ago. So I think A&M's the best team, but we get them at home, and it's a revenge game, and Saban is great in those revenge games. I worry about A&M less than those road games, and I'm not saying that Arkansas is better than A&M or Tennessee's better than A&M. I don't think they are, but look what happened on the road last year. We almost lost to a bad Florida team. We almost lost to a bad Auburn team. Mm-hmm. We did lose to a Texas A&M team that went 8-4. We played great on the road against Mississippi State. That's one time in 4 games. I'm going to put most of those road games at the top of the list, Luke, just like you, at Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Arkansas. To me, those are the 3 toughest games. I would put A&M 4th, and at LSU and Texas in some order 5th and 6th.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I do feel better about going on the road this year with a seasoned veteran at quarterback and a Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback. I feel better about that. I feel better with what I think could be a better offensive line and a better defense. But at the same time, look, man, Arkansas, they have shown they are not afraid. And that is one of the biggest advantages Alabama generally has. When teams see us come on the field, they're afraid. I mean, a case in point, 2013 national championship game against Notre Dame, and you could tell Notre Dame ruined their knickers when we came out there. And it was, I mean, Kirk Herbstreit, I think, said it. This is like a high school team versus the Broncos. I mean, he didn't say that exactly, but I said that.
Right.
And I think that when you lack the fear, and that's another thing, going back to Auburn for a second, Auburn at home is not scared of us. And I think that gives them somewhat of an advantage. Tennessee has been frightened to death of us for a long time. I think they're getting less frightened. A&M was not all that frightened last year, but I'm with you. I think the revenge game is going to be a factor, and so that's that. Jimmy, that's going to do it for today's podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. We really do appreciate you. And look, even if you don't agree with us, please comment on the YouTube page. We appreciate that. And look, we don't mind being called out. I mean, you don't have to preface it by saying, hey, I don't want to.
Exactly. We're married.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's right.
Not to each other.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We're married.
Oh, okay.
But what I mean, we get called out every day.
That's exactly right. That's why we're in hotels now. We've been kicked out of our own houses. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please do comment. Please subscribe. And we appreciate you guys a ton. So until next time, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.